Hey, welcome to the Dino and Joe Show. My name is Dino, and if you don't know, now you know that is Joe.
That's me. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So, I wanted to start off with something interesting. So, a few episodes
That's
ago,
always a good start.
it is a
Something
good start,
interesting
right?
is always a good place to
It's always a
begin.
good place to begin.
Like let's bring the audience in to something interesting.
So, well, I guess it's not really a spoiler alert. I assume if you listen, watch, whatever to this show,
Yeah.
you have probably seen one or two of them. If you have seen episode 10, I believe it was,
Uh-huh.
which we talk about Adirondack chairs and swingers. That's a great episode. If you haven't checked that one out, you should. But so what made me think of that was I was doing a little walk today, just
Yeah.
around the neighborhood, whatever, and I remember specifically talking about Adirondack chairs, how swingers tend to have two of them
Yeah.
in front to say that they're down, for that kind of thing. Fine,
Right.
hey, no judgment on either of our parts. You do what you got to do. But it was just interesting, and I remember very clearly stating like, hey, every time I think of Adirondack chairs, there's always two of them or four of them. There's always an even number, never an odd number.
Okay.
I was walking through my neighborhood today, and I'll be damned if I didn't see
Three.
a three, a random three. And now here's the thing: based on this picture, there are clearly two very worn down ones and one very new one. So it may be that, I don't know, there might be a replacement coming, but it made me chuckle, and I wanted to share it with you and our beloved fans. Um, that in fact the three Adirondack chair house does exist.
What if you only have one?
Well, honestly, this house looks like they're on their way to that with those two chairs. Like it's not far off. I don't know, but why would you buy one Adirondack chair?
I mean, what if you live by yourself? What if it's just you?
I suppose that's true, but well, yeah, I
What if
guess
you're not social and you don't want anybody else coming over?
that's a very good point. I don't know. I have yet to see that. I guess is my point. No judgment if you do, but please send us a picture. If you have just a single Adirondack chair in your front yard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
have
want to, and then I want to know what the significance is if it's in that community.
right,
What does
exactly.
that mean?
Does that mean like I'm willing to do that, but I don't have anybody to bring? So you have to. It's like going to a potluck without bringing anything.
Right.
You're
Right.
just gonna sample everything else and just say, "Well, thanks for a good evening," and head out.
Hi, everybody. This is Tony. He's my friend. Invited him over. Right. Thought he could join the party.
Be here. Oh, that's fantastic.
So, so I have something for you.
You have something for me.
I don't know if you've ever had this experience or not, but have you ever entered a contest?
Many, many times.
Okay, so I'm not big on entering contests, but I
Okay.
will enter them occasionally, right? I'm not a big lottery player, but when the lottery gets to like,
You
a
can't.
massive amount of money, like you go, oh, buy that lottery
I'll,
ticket, right?
right. I'll
And
put my
I'm going to
2.
lose, right? And then I'm going to walk away and go, yeah, well, it's only
That's
$2, right?
right.
But I entered a contest a couple weeks ago. So, as people know, I'm a big soccer fan. I'm a huge Liverpool fan, and the Anfield shop was having a huge sale, like clearing out all the old stuff, all the new products coming in. And while I was on there buying stuff for myself and my wife and my kids,
Mhm.
there was a contest, and I'm like, they call it a competition, right? And so I entered it, no big deal,
Sure.
didn't think anything about it. And I get this notice that I have a package coming. And I'm like, I'm not expecting any kind of package, right?
Mhm.
And I think I reached out to you to see if I had anything coming from work
Right.
because, and you're like, no.
No.
And so
No.
I don't, so I get this big box and it's a box, but it's in that like gigantic envelope
Oh
type
yeah.
thing,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I open that and then there's this box inside and the box is labeled and I don't understand the label. And then I'm thinking, okay, like, did I miss something that my wife said was coming? Like, but it's to
Right.
me, and it said it doesn't make sense. So
Mhm.
I open up that box. There's another box inside,
What is this?
and I'm
Russian
starting to
nesting
go, well,
dolls?
right, exactly. Somebody's messing
What
with
are we
me,
doing here?
right? So I open up that box, and like a couple of stickers fall out, and a keychain falls out
Okay.
from Liverpool.
Oh.
And I'm going, what is this? And then I'm thinking, okay, and I see on the label of the box it says Otto, Virgil, and then some letters. And I'm like, this can't be, what I think it is, right? And I open it up and I find what I'm going to show you now. So um, I am truly surprised by what I see, because the first thing I see still doesn't tell me why I got what I got.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I see, because there's there's this box, right? Is this right here?
Oh wow. Okay. That
This
is
is
a
an
beautiful.
autographed jersey from
Yeah.
Virgil van Dijk, who
Yeah.
plays center back for Liverpool, right? So I'm like, okay, that's awesome. And then I'm thinking,
Yes.
oh, did my wife get me something for my birthday that she forgot to tell me was coming, and I just
Right.
like
Just
ruined that
opened it up.
surprise, right?
Right.
But still doesn't make any sense because it's autographed, and it's to me, it's addressed to me. So very weird, right? So I go back to the box because I'm like, well, at this point, I have no idea where this is even from,
Right.
and I find this.
Oh, how nice is that?
So I won the contest.
That's fantastic.
I've never won a contest. I've never even imagined of winning a contest. And yes,
Well,
it does come with a certificate of authenticity, which I
ooh,
found
love.
later on.
Well, the certificate of
So,
authenticity, that's the
right?
real part right there.
So yeah. So
Now, is it in a
Anfield Shop.
frame?
It is what they call a framed box.
A frame.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does look like it's a very nice presentation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Totally blown away by it.
That's
Totally blown away
fantastic.
by it. And I got a couple other tchotchke things like this pennant.
Oh,
Right? So
excellent. Ale,
yeah,
ale, ale.
and pretty cool stuff. So, yeah, I was totally floored. Had no idea, but
That's
really
awesome.
cool thing. And
That's
for a
really
big
cool.
Liverpool, not like you can see right here, Steven Gerrard's behind me. My son's middle name is Gerrard, named after Steven Gerrard, like
Of course.
my youngest one. Yeah, so like big Liverpool fans. But that was just awesome. So, big shout out to the Anfield shop because that made my
That's
day.
awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
it
for
was,
somebody who doesn't enter contests often, it sounds like so far you've had a pretty good streak of winning
it was like,
contests.
well,
I
I mean,
mean, that
I've won stuff at work or whatever, but we work for
sure,
that. Like, there's,
right, exactly. Like
you
you have control over it.
right. I've never like actually like entered something and just put my name in and had it drawn out. Like, that's just crazy to me.
So I have two stories that jump to mind for me because I've entered a lot of contests, three
Okay.
actually, three of them. So the first one is probably the most, I guess, I don't know, unfortunate one. So I'm a huge Jerry Seinfeld fan. I love Jerry Seinfeld. And
Okay.
In Chicago, actually, it's in Indiana. There's the Horseshoe Casino. It's in Hammond. It's
Sure.
just over the border,
Okay.
and that's where a lot of comedians, musicians, a lot of people play.
Right.
So I was listening to the radio, and they were like, "Hey, 10th caller will get two, front row Jerry Seinfeld tickets for the show next, July at such and such date and time." I was like, I don't care. I'm doing it. Bring, nothing. Bring, nothing. Bring, nothing. Bring. Hello. I'm like, oh my God, hello. I won the tickets. And he's like, oh no, man, you're the 11th caller. I just wanted to call and let you know, or pick up and let you know that. And I was like, you son of a what? Now, as a person in radio, would you ever do that to somebody? Because that's kind of cold.
Oh, well, as a person in radio, I have done that to somebody.
That's so
So
cold
that's
because you don't
hysterical.
understand the feeling of joy I had in my soul
Oh, yes, I
going.
do.
I still haven't seen Jerry Seinfeld to this day.
And by the
I
way,
still haven't.
that feeling of joy was crushed. And that
It,
was the intent.
it did. It was it was awful. Going back farther now, my other experience. This is one where I actually won something, but it was a terrifying experience. So in high school, I studied Italian, right? And that was one of the languages. I don't know a ton of schools that do it, but I thought it was cool. So I'm
Sure,
like,
bougie high school where they
right?
took
Well, a bougie
Italian.
high school with 125 people in my class. Yeah, it's like this big. It fills my girlfriend's high school's like cafeteria. So we're in Italian class, and our teacher lets us know, hey, the Italian Cultural Center is doing this contest to meet Roberto Benigni, a famous
Yeah,
Italian actor.
yeah,
Life is Beautiful, Johnny
yeah.
Stecchino, all these films, right? So they were like, you need to write a letter in Italian to the Italian Cultural Institute. I'll mail it, and then they're going to pick a winner, and that winner gets to go there and meet him, and like we get to ask him questions where
Oh, cool.
anybody can go, but
Sure.
you will be the people who get to ask him questions. So of course, who wins? Joe Perez. Okay. So I do this because it's a requirement, and I am now scared because this is in my second year of Italian, and I think I speak Italian pretty well, still to this day. Like I've kept up with it. I've gone to Italy. It's something I can do. Like
Okay.
my Italian's, But in my second year of Italian, in front of a famous movie star, my Italian is not so strong.
Who won an Oscar?
Yeah,
Who
won an
literally
Oscar,
is known for climbing over the
doing
chairs
crazy
to go
stuff.
get his Oscar.
Yes.
And he
So
was insane at that Oscars award
right.
show.
And that is not an act. Like, he was excited, but that's just how he is. His hair is just as crazy, and he's
Yeah.
just as crazy. So, okay. And then we get there. First of all, we get lost and we show up before it starts, and we should have been there half an hour early.
Okay.
Whatever. It's in downtown Chicago, which is a maze. And that's also when I learned that 520 North Michigan Avenue and 520 South Michigan Avenue are very different places by a long shot. And it took a very fast run in a cab to get there to there with 5 minutes to left. Anyways, so we get there and they're like, finally, you're here. You are going to be the first person to ask Mr. Beanie a question.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh, fine. Okay, I'll handle it. That's fine. That's when they start with the full Italian. Everything. Nothing is in English. Nothing. There is nothing in English. Their instructions are in Italian. Everything is in Italian. And every word of Italian I had ever learned immediately escaped my brain. It's gone. It's done. Nothing. But I still remember to this day what question it was and how I asked it. So we were all sitting around. He was up front. We were like sitting in chairs that were a little bit lower than normal. And they're like, okay, the person who's going to ask the first question. And I said, okay. And I stand up and I'm just like, okay, I can do this. Quale direttore è suo preferito? And then I sit down immediately. Which director is your favorite? Right? And I sit down immediately. And then he starts looking around. He's like, who asked in Italian? Who asked that question? I want to know who asked that question. Where is he? Where is he? And I'm like, who was that? Do you guys know? Was it him?
Yeah, whoa.
I don't know. And thank God nobody called me out. And I was like, I don't know who was. Oh, okay. And he's like, okay, well, I answered anyway. Blah blah blah. And he gave I don't remember what the answer was. I was literally sweating through my shirt that he was gonna find me in like the Oscars me, and then he also told me what his favorite joke was in English. Why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9.
Yeah,
that's his favorite English joke. So that was number 2. 3. This one was just fun, dumb luck, and I learned a skill that has actually won me some other contests, but they don't matter as much. I was like 9 years old. I'm at Brookfield Zoo, one of the biggest zoos in the country.
Yeah,
a lot of people know it. I was a big Beanie Baby collector when I was a kid, so I was maybe 9 years old. Right, I loved Beanie Babies, and they were offering these McDonald's Beanie Babies.
Oh,
right?
absolutely! I
The
remember those.
The little guys.
Yeah,
well, they were offering the full kit and caboodle, every single one they made.
And didn't they come from different countries? Like there was the camel from Egypt.
Yep. There's a whole bunch of different
ones. Yeah, I just remember those, and they were in like the little packs, and yeah.
You could win, like if you bought like Happy Meals, you would get a few with them.
Yeah.
And it's a funny side note. It turns out around the same time, my girlfriend and her family would like drive around to different McDonald's trying to win them.
Oh, jeez.
But they didn't. I did. I won them. So, but I learned a little trick for the kids out there. When you have to put a ballot into something, right? Yeah. Not a ballot, but like an entry.
Yeah.
Take the piece of paper and fold it like in little halves.
Yeah.
Like so it's wavy. You drop it in there. They feel around. They're like, "Ooh, what's this?" They pull it out. Yeah. Now I know that seems kind of obvious. It does to me now, but my mom showed me that when I was 9 years old, and I won a bunch of freaking Beanie Babies, and that was pretty awesome. So
thank you, Mom.
Those are my 3. Yes, exactly. Yet another thing my wonderful mother did for me. But yeah, those are my 3 stories of winning some sort of anything.
That's awesome. Now, see, I gave away a lot of stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, with radio, that makes
being
sense.
On the radio, I gave away everything: concert tickets to autographs. I've done. I did an autograph pair of Ricky Martin's pants that we gave away as Get Inside Ricky Martin's Pants. So Ricky Martin wears only Armani leather pants. Mm-hmm. And I managed to get the record company to get me a pair, and he autographed them and we gave them away.
What is that conversation like?
When you tell them what you want to do with the contest?
Well, no,
they're not really excited about it at first, by the way.
Well, yeah.
You sell that one.
Of course.
Actually easier to get a pair of Mariah Carey's jeans because we followed it up with Get Inside Mariah Carey's jeans.
Right.
And they were an autographed pair of her jeans.
Here's what I want to know. How does the record company go up to Ricky Martin and say, hey, we want a pair of your pants. Like, if somebody came up to me and said that, I'd be like, no, just no. But
Well,
but if you said I want to get into Joe Perez's pants, which nobody has ever said, I, that might be like, okay, that's funny. Here you go.
right.
But that's
Yeah,
still
I'm
a
sure
tough
that's how they
opening
sold
comment.
it. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But yeah, we did those.
Awesome.
I remember when Nelly's Air Force Ones, the song Air Force Ones came out.
Yes, I'm cool, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
I forgot you weren't hip. But Air Force Ones were the big deal, and
Sure.
they were, so I got a pair of autographed Air Force Ones from Nelly. We gave those away.
That's pretty
Uh,
cool.
I remember the one time 50 Cent came to the studio and he autographed everything. He autographed
Really,
an Xbox, like it just autographed. He was like walking around this, just
just
signing
signing
everything. It
things.
was
He
hysterical.
signs
I
the
was like, "Want me to sign
mic.
this? I'll sign it. Want me to sign this? I'll sign it."
That's
We had so much
that's
stuff to
cool,
give away
dude.
from him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, but I've done a ton of giveaways, but never won anything. Never even thought about winning anything. I
Right.
never win. And I've never
Well,
won the lottery. So,
well, I mean, don't say you never won anything because you did now.
well, now, yeah, I guess I can't say
You
that anymore,
hadn't
can I?
ever won anything, but now you have. Look at that.
Yeah.
But I'm
No.
just saying you're a one for one. Well, maybe not one. We'll say conservatively you've entered three things in your lifetime, and you're now one for three, which is honestly better than my like probably 7 and 520.
Yeah, but I don't have any Beanie Babies.
That's fair. Actually, I think they are in my parents' house in Michigan. I'm not joking. So if you would like one,
I'm
I will
sure
give
they
you one.
are.
I will give you one, but just so you know, if you separate a set like that, the value diminishes greatly.
And
So
what is that set worth now today?
I don't know, but I'm sure if I went on eBay and put them on there for like $500, somebody would buy them for that. I am confident. It may take a little bit, but the right buyer is out there. And I also had a full size Beanie Baby collection too, which I think I did sell for like $350.
Oh, there you go.
So, making money every which way.
Look at Joe's side hustle going on.
Just saying. Just saying. How do you think I got these fancy headphones, this nice watch? It's Beanie Baby money right there, is what that is.
That's
It's
right.
Beanie Baby money. That's that Princess Diana one. That's the little green emerald,
Yeah,
the shamrock one.
right.
Those are some.
What started
Value.
the rage with Beanie Babies? Do you
I wish
know?
I knew.
I
All
don't
I
know
know is
where it all came from. It was
one.
just like I get like Cabbage Patch Kids were like,
Yeah,
it built over time, right? Oh, it's a doll, and the big doll became popular, right? Or Tickle Me Elmo, I understand, because at that time Elmo was
I had one of
huge,
those
right?
too.
But I
Yep.
never understood how stuffed animals that every kid I've ever known, and I had them as a kid too, have been popular forever. And I get some of the classic toys, like the classic teddy bears, those are the Scythe bears or whatever those are.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I understand like that level of toy collection. I don't understand how Beanie Babies became a thing, and then how it became such a big thing,
I
and then
just
how it
remember.
went away so fast.
I just remember not caring,
And
being
then not
super
caring
excited
anymore.
for everything I had, and then not caring anymore. I
Right.
re- there was a shop that I used to make my grandparents take me to every day that had Beanie Babies in it, and I would see if they had any new Beanie Babies. It was I could it's ridiculous. Like they had a whole Beanie Baby section. I'm like, ooh, they got a new one. Let's get it. And they're like, maybe next week. I'm like, okay, but you said that next week. Next week. Oh.
Yeah, I'll
And
remember that.
eventually we would get it.
Right.
So
Like I understand it in the sense of like I think Funko Pops are that today.
yes, very similar. Yeah.
Right? Funko Pops have landed on the everybody's a fan of something,
Yep.
and they totally tie into nostalgia, right? I mean, the first Funko Pop I got, I think, was Mr. Rogers, right?
Hmm.
I just thought it was cool, right? Because I grew up with Mr. Rogers, and then I have a Billy Madison one, and because
That's
I'm a
awesome.
big fan of that movie.
Yeah.
And but I don't see that trend where it's like the roller coaster. Like Beanie Babies
Right.
to me is the roller coaster. It was
You're right.
nothing, then it was everything, and then suddenly it was like nobody cared anymore.
Hmm.
There was a whole market. There was a price guide magazine that came out. Like
I
suddenly,
had
like
that
this was a
magazine.
commodity,
Mhm.
and then it was like, oh no, we're done with those. The bottom fell out of that market, and I don't understand. I don't understand how they got value, and then they don't have value.
I don't know. But I think we should take a break and we'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute.
We're back with the Dino and Joe show. This is Dino. That is Joe.
It is.
All right, so we were talking about Beanie Babies, and I remember the McDonald's Beanie Babies you were
Hmm.
talking about. They had like the packets from around the world,
Yes.
um, and so I was kind of thinking about this because I know a lot of people are getting ready for vacations, right? We're
Yeah,
starting to hit that season where people are planning their vacations.
absolutely.
And I thought it'd be kind of fun just to reminisce a little bit about some of the best places that you've been to.
Yes.
So I thought we could break it up, do two different sections, do an international section and then do a U.S. section because
Okay.
we're both fairly well traveled.
We are.
And just kind of off the top of your head, I know it's kind of like just me springing it on you, but can you think of 5 places in the U.S. and 5 places in Europe? Which would you say are your favorite places to go?
Yes. I will give you my 5 from the US first.
Okay.
I enjoyed Boston, and this is no particular order. They're just
Okay.
places I
Sure.
enjoyed.
Absolutely.
Probably Boston.
Which is
See,
also on my list, by the way.
okay. See, okay. So I guess I'll give a little reason why afterwards, right? And then you can kind of have a
Okay.
similar.
Sure.
So for me, Boston it was fun because it was my first real spring break trip when I was in college in my junior year. We took a train out there, which I think I told the story of how that went.
Yes. Yeah.
But beyond the train, it was actually a great place. Like it was so cool. We saw a lot of architecture at the colleges, which I got a lot of flack for from my streaming partner here. But it was a lot of fun.
That's
It was
cool.
enjoyable. No, it was really enjoyable, and just Boston's a really great city. Like, and I've gone back a few
Yeah.
times afterwards, and it's really really a nice place. It's a great place to see hockey, where the Bruins play is absolutely nuts. So it was a lot of fun there. What about you? What do you like about Boston?
So we did the what I like to call the U.S. history tour
Ooh,
with George when he was a little bit younger, and we went and did a trip to Philadelphia, D.C., and Boston.
yes, all of
Right. So
them.
American
Yes.
history, right?
Yep. Yep.
And Boston, out of those three, was our favorite by far.
Mhm.
One, the history. Absolutely
Mhm.
love the history. I'm a big fan of history, and I love American Revolution history. So,
Yeah.
like
That's
for me, I was
those
like
are the
heaven with
places.
Boston,
Yep.
right? And we had the chance to go check out the Yankees versus Boston in Boston,
That's
so at
cool.
Fenway,
Fenway
and it
Park.
was
All
the
right.
first game back that A-Rod had from the steroid
Oh
scandal.
wow. Okay.
So when they were calling him A-Royd
Aroid.
and booing him, like I've never heard somebody booed in my life, right? At
Right.
a volume I've never
Of
registered.
course.
And then a really cool thing, and it's just random cool things happen. Like, it just is whenever we travel or wherever we go. Like, so my wife went down. We're from where we were sitting, took George down to go watch the players warm up. And because people crowd around trying to get autographs, whatever,
Of
but they're
course.
just down there to like see the players and stuff. And these two gigantic men are there and they start talking to my son because he's cute. And it turns out that they were the two pilots from Marine One.
Oh,
And they gave him one of the coins
that's
from Marine
awesome.
One
That's
and
cool.
then said, "Ma'am, we'll escort you back to your seat." And one got in front of her and one got behind her. And they literally walked her back to her seat. I was like,
That's pretty
okay.
awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, Boston's just a cool city. We went to Harvard, had a chance to spend some time there. Just really love the city. Like that was a really cool
That's
trip, and
cool.
that was one of our favorites. So yeah,
That's awesome.
Boston's a great place to go if you haven't been.
Number 2 for me would probably be Seattle.
Okay.
I love Seattle. So for work, I've been there a whole bunch, but I have been there for a wedding or two, and just everything there, right? Like just the feel of the city. The weather is great. Like I know everybody says it rains a lot. When I have been there, not a ton of rain. Like it does rain often, but like it's still a beautiful place to just walk around. Going downtown, like just seeing the sights. Like I know going to the first Starbucks is like probably the most like typical thing, but it was a cool thing to be able to do. Pike's Place is just an incredible place to walk around. If you enjoy seafood, it's a great place to visit. I really love Seattle. Just the ambiance. I would
Sure.
love to one day move that way.
All you.
Yeah, not for you.
All no, not on my list.
Really,
Nope.
I enjoyed it. What's a place for you? Give me a number 2
Uh,
for you.
New York City.
Okay.
I love New York. I have loved New York for a long time. Been there so many times.
Mhm.
Uh, Whether it's I mean, just it's such a cool vibe there. I just love it there. Love
Sure.
everything about it. Love being in the city. Love exploring the city. There's so much to do there. Been to Broadway a few times.
Mhm.
Literally love the different neighborhoods, the different ethnicities. Like I think New York City is so cool. It's one of those places that I would absolutely go to tomorrow. If somebody said, "Hey, you got a job here, move here," I'm like, I'd be there.
I enjoy New York. I've been there maybe 3 or 4 times. Um, I what was cool was I did eat at Tom's Restaurant, aka
Yeah,
Monks
yeah,
from Seinfeld,
yeah,
obviously, and that was
absolutely.
super cool. That was nice. I did eat street meat. I had a falafel, and everybody
Attaboy.
warned me against it. And I said, no, 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 it'll be fine. And it was fine,
Yeah,
surprisingly. It was actually rather delicious, too. I never got to see anything on Broadway, which is a bummer, but just Times Square, all that kind of stuff is
yeah,
cool. But to
yeah,
your point, like all the neighborhoods, like just everything melded together. Like
yeah, yeah.
no one person's like everybody else. And I think that's what makes it super cool. So I'm with you on that.
Love Kane Steakhouse. The
Oh, okay.
ceramic pipes that is their theme, and just it's so cool.
Cool.
Yep. What else?
3 for me. Now, I'm going to kind of break the rules, but not really. Orlando, but really Disney World.
Okay, so I have
Orlando.
Disney. Yeah, I have Disney World and Disneyland on my list as well.
So I had never been to land, but I'm pretty sure I will enjoy it. So I'll just make it both. But yeah, it should be its own city, like honestly, and it kind of
Yeah,
is, frankly.
yeah, sure,
You don't have to leave property. Like
right.
if you have a hotel there, there's no reason to leave it. But it's honest, like I've talked about it before, but I was a very big, like, it's Disney, whatever. Like, okay, ooh, you pay a lot of money and you see a mouse, big freaking whoop. But my girlfriend, who's a huge Disney
Wait a
fan,
minute.
what?
You
You
did
pay
you
a lot of
just
money to go see
say
a big mouse.
you
Yeah.
pay a lot of money to
Yeah.
go see a mouse?
A big
Big
mouse.
whoop.
Yeah, it's whatever. But like that's how I felt before, right? I'm like,
Oh,
I
that's
don't
what it
understand.
is.
Yeah. I didn't get it, right? And she still is a huge Disney fan. It was like, trust me, when you get there, it'll be a little different. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
we'll see. And then I got there and it was freaking different. It was I don't know why, but when I walked in, I'm like, this place is different than everywhere else I've ever been
Yeah.
because there is like it sounds so stupid, but it's true. There's magic there. Like I don't know how, but like things are different. And somehow paying $15 for a cheeseburger by itself,
Makes
you're like,
sense.
whatever. All right, let's
Yeah.
do that. Let's get 2 of them. In fact, like it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. How that place makes your vision of pricing very different than what it would be
Yes,
at home.
you are right.
Very different what it would be at home. But
Now,
it's just so cool. Yeah.
I have not been to California Adventure.
Okay.
So I've been to Disneyland multiple times, but literally before California Adventure ever
Right.
existed.
Ever
So
count? Yeah.
I, from that point, I could tell you that I had been to Disneyland before Disney World.
Okay.
Went to Disney World, and it was a whole different experience than Disneyland.
Sure.
Disneyland felt like the beginning park. It felt
Yeah.
like this is set up,
Right.
and then we took this and made it even better back in Florida, where we had a lot more property and a lot
Right.
more, experience. Like when you wait in line in Disney World, there's a lot more immersiveness than if you wait in line
Oh,
at
on everything.
Disneyland, for example.
100%. I hear
Now,
the same thing.
I've no California Adventure. I have
You don't know.
no
Yeah.
stake in because I don't know what that was like. I think when I last was in Disneyland, they had just added Toontown because of the Roger Rabbit movie.
Okay.
So that obviously is very aged, right, from
Yeah.
where Disneyland is today. But I will tell you that for whatever reason, you're exactly right. It is a different experience the minute you get into the park, and they work
Ridiculous.
so hard to make that experience something you'll remember, and they do it so well
They do it.
uh, that it does. It completely makes you say, you know what, I'll spend money.
Right.
Now, the one thing I wish for Disney is I wish they would make it more affordable to make it more accessible.
I agree. Like it was so for us. So I just went with the 2 of us, right?
Hmm.
And it was doable. Like it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't as
Sure,
expensive as I thought. But for you, I'm sure taking your
absolutely.
wife, 2 kids,
Yeah,
that is not cheap
no,
because that is not cheap. I would not be able to do that probably. And a lot of people I know wouldn't.
yeah. And there's a lot of people that would love to take their families and go, but
Right.
it's just it becomes that there's other theme parks. Yeah, they're not the same,
Right.
but it's not going to cost you what it would cost you. Plus, you've got to get there.
Get there. Right.
Um, I just wish that, and I know there's packages, and I know that
Yeah.
they do what they do, but
Right.
I do feel like there's an overpricing out of that experience for
Right.
families that I wish that they would have the opportunity to have.
I agree.
I think every kid should see Disney once.
I agree.
Every one of them.
I agree. Number 3 for you?
Well, I had Disney World, and Disneyland, so I'm right
Okay,
there
so
with
we'll
you.
count that.
Yeah.
4 for me is Yellowstone National Park. So I know that's not
Wow.
a city or state, but like Yellowstone is one of the coolest places you can go. I mean, Old Faithful.
Yeah.
I just walking. So funny story. My friends and I took a road trip to Yellowstone. Took like maybe, I don't know, 20 hours, something like that. We just drove all the way through, took turns sleeping and everything. We drove to Yellowstone, stayed in Yellowstone for 5 days, drove back. We saw one elk at about 250 yards away. That's it. Not another
Really?
animal. Not a bear, not a squirrel, not an eagle, not a lot, nothing. Nothing. We saw an elk on the way out. We literally saw the thanks for staying at Yellowstone. There was an elk that was like 250 yards away drinking from like a little river or something.
Did it wave on your way out?
It was just like, well, that's not true. We also, unfortunately,
you saw a squirrel.
No, well, I'm sure we saw some of those. As we were exiting, we hit an animal of some sort.
Oh no!
Which is not what we wanted to do. Like it felt terrible, but like it was a very scary situation because it kind of dented the whole front of the car. So the ride back was very interesting. But that was so we saw 2 animals, I guess.
There you go.
It was very
well. You didn't see one of them because you ended up hitting it.
Well, it was funny because I had that exact conversation from Tommy Boy. I can't believe anything bad never happened. Right. And then literally we turned and just boom. And I was like, well, that shows you that karma is a real thing. So.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, Yellowstone for me.
I've been to Yellowstone. It was great. It's something you should see. I don't know that I want to stay 5 days there, but good for you.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, all right. For me, I have the Outer Banks in North Carolina.
Okay.
So I'm not a beach person. I'm truly not a beach person. My skin tone doesn't do well at the beach. And even when I lived in California, I lived hour from the beach. I went there maybe in 4 years. I probably was at the beach twice. Like I'm just not. I didn't grow up that way. I'm not a beach person. Not my thing. But my wife is, and this is where she used to spend a lot of family vacations. And I will tell you, from the first time I went to the Outer Banks in North Carolina, loved it.
Okay.
Loved it. And I don't, and the thing's cool that it's so relaxing that you can spend as much time as you want, right? So my wife will go down to the beach. She'll take the kids down to the beach. They'll stay there. And then my youngest son, who also has the same skin tone that I do and red hair, and doesn't do well in the sun, we'll go back, right? And we'll just hang out at the beach house, right? And do what we want to do. And they stay at the beach. And then we'll go back down like later in the evening. And it's so cool and so relaxing. Like I love it there, and I have a great time there. And like right now, even like the boys and I are watching the Wicked Tuna Outer Banks series, just because it's fun and it's part of that area. So very much love that part of the country that I didn't think that I would.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How about you?
I've never been there, but that's actually that sounds pretty awesome. And North Carolina, South Carolina, I've really wanted to go there.
It would not be a show without you being frozen.
Well, you were frozen too, so we're on the same way. My 5th and final place, because I figured we just divide half and half if we're going to do that. 5th, and it might be a little biased on me, but it is Chicago.
Well, you live there,
but I love it. But I don't live in Chicago proper.
That's a technicality.
But I'm just saying, like, Chicago is a place that I enjoy traveling to. It's only 45 minutes away from me, but people, if you can come to Chicago, you should. Like, it is a really cool city with a lot of stuff to offer. It's a similar concept to New York. If you ask me, it's a little bit cleaner than New York, but it's just got a lot of stuff. You have Grant Park, you have Navy Pier, you have some of the best museums in the country. I'll just say it, like the Museum of Science and Industry.
Yep.
I don't know a better technology, science-related museum out there. Same thing with the Field Museum, one of the best anthropological type museums out. It's so cool. A lot of great things on Egypt, indigenous peoples. It's super awesome. The Shedd Aquarium, one of the best out there. Adler Planetarium, super cool. enough of my ad for Chicago. But I'm saying you should come here and visit it. It's a lot of fun.
And they do have this place called the Smithsonian if you're looking for like maybe a place that would rival what you
I
have in
mean,
Chicago.
I've
But
been
I
to the
mean, you know,
Smithsonian. It's
it's
like whatever.
I know we laugh at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum because in Dayton we have the National Museum of the Air
Right.
Force, and
I
we're
remember
always like,
going.
I'm like,
You
we
saw,
have more
I,
than this.
I remember we walked past. We were in the Smithsonian Air Museum. And we walked
Yeah,
past the Kitty Hawk, and you're like, we got one better back home.
I have the one
I have
actually
the one. Yeah,
because the Wright brothers are from Dayton. Like it's
that's
in my
fantastic.
it flies over my house every once in a while.
It's
The Wright
amazing.
V flyer.
What's your
Yeah. So
final one?
I look, I could have said Iowa because it's where I go to relax and go see my family, right? And it's Iowa's a great place to be from. But I will tell you that we found this last year, and we're actually going back again this year because we had such a great time last year. And I'm surprised that I have another beach place on my list because again, it's not really where I would tell you a few years ago I would never have picked a beach.
Mhm.
But Tybee Island in Georgia.
Oh,
So Tybee Island is an island right off the coast of Savannah,
mhm.
and it is pretty much one of the coolest, like absolutely chill, like community. It's a very small community. You don't get a lot of people from outside the island unless they're staying there. It's paid to park, so people don't just come to the beaches.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I'll be honest with you, we get a beach house that literally you walk outside the door and turn right, and there's the ocean,
That's cool.
and it is so nice, and the community is really cool. It's a little small community where everything's kind of like it's all local. I think there's one chain restaurant on the entire island. Everything else is local. And we just have so much fun there. And then within 30 minutes, you're in Savannah, which is such a cool place.
That's
uh,
awesome.
the cypress trees hanging over the road, and like
Right.
just we found some great places there as well. But I will tell you that like that will be so much. I'm so looking forward to going back after last
That's
year.
cool. That's cool.
But yeah, I was going to tell you, Tybee Island in Georgia is definitely a place if you want a really laid back beach environment. Like that's a cool place to go.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm going to take note on that too. So we talked about continental. What about
Yes.
international?
Internationally, I do have some places.
Give me one. Let's hear it. Number one,
Number one,
or just a place that happens to be number one. Doesn't necessarily be in top order.
I would tell you for me, Liverpool and London. So
Okay,
being in England,
of
that
course.
was always a dream to go there, and I got the
Sure.
chance to go there. And then on top of that, I got the chance to go to Liverpool and then see a Liverpool match inside of Anfield, which is their
Awesome.
stadium.
Yeah.
Like I love that as an international flavor. Like that is like such a cool location. Again, so much history. England's easy to get around in. It's easy to take trains in. Those trains actually run efficiently and go on time, and actually like are not are not like our trains that take forever.
Right. Right.
You can get expresses, and I mean, but the city, the culture, and then it's different. Like when you go to Liverpool, it's a different culture.
That's awesome.
Loved it. Liverpool's very much like Boston, in all honesty.
Okay.
Like we
That's
found
cool.
a lot of similarities, and a lot of like the people culture was the same.
Hmm.
And really loved it there. So that would be like really really high on my international list for sure.
So I have something that's somewhat similar in London. For a lot of it was just cool to go. Being able to
Yeah.
see all of the interesting things that you always want to see in England. You always hear about Big Ben,
Yep.
Parliament, all these different things, Buckingham Palace, and it's a lot of the touristy stuff, but just walking around the little neighborhoods and
Yeah.
like just like seeing everything and just
Look, kids, Parliament, Big Ben.
right, exactly.
Look, kids, Parliament, Big
Just
Ben.
keep driving around
Can't-
those
can't get
freaking
over it.
roundabouts, right? Um, that's a great movie,
Yeah.
great series of movies. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's mine. I'm very much there with you.
Another place for me internationally would be Ireland.
Okay,
So I
so we're going
love
right
Ireland.
next door.
Yep, I love Dublin. That was that was the first international trip that wasn't Canada or Mexico that I ever took.
Okay,
And Dublin is such a cool city. It's a pedestrian city. You're not in a city that's full of cars. They're all on the outside. Again, the people are the nicest people in the world. Amazing how friendly the city is. But
Mhm.
you can just put your headphones in and go walk around. I've been to Dublin by myself. I've been to Dublin with other people. And I will tell you, Ireland's a beautiful country.
That's
And
awesome.
it's one of those
It
countries where
looks
you drive
gorgeous.
around and you go, oh, I got to take a picture of this because it's the most beautiful landscape I've ever seen. And then
Five
you go
feet and
around the
so
corner and you're like,
yeah.
oh, wait a minute, this is even better, right? It builds on itself.
Did you
But yeah,
drive in Ireland?
yeah, sure did.
How was that?
You drive on the other side of the car, on the other side of the road,
How
and
was that like as challenging as I imagine?
it was a stick shift.
Oh wow. Oh
So
wow.
shifting with your left hand is a lot different than shifting with your right hand. Now, I owned a stick shift at the time, so I was used to a stick shift car, but yeah, there's no
That's
comparison. It's something to get used to. Yeah, for sure.
that's rough. Well, because so my one of mine would be Sydney, Australia, and I was there
Yeah.
for 3 months for work, and it was a very challenging time because we had a lot of stuff to do in that 3 months, and I worked a lot. But when I did get to go out in the city, the few times I did, it was so cool. Like you're in Australia. Like
Yeah.
what? There's the freak. I walked past the Opera House every single night as I walked to my hotel,
The
like the
toilets
Sydney
flush
Opera
the
House.
opposite way.
So here's the thing. I didn't get to experience that because the toilet in my hotel wasn't this. It was just a whoosh. It went straight down. So I didn't even get to experience that. It was that was probably my biggest disappointment of that entire trip was not
You
being
don't
able
know
to
if
see a
it's real
toilet.
or not.
I don't know if it's real or not. I don't know. Every toilet I went to, trust me, I looked at every single one. I'm like, come on, do one of these or one of nope, nothing. It was very frustrating,
That's
but it was
awesome.
super cool because of all the stuff you got to do.
Yeah.
Everybody is just so nice and friendly, and their slang there is very interesting.
Yeah.
Sunnies, servo, bogan, Meccas. You got to go to the Meccas, mate. Got to do Meccas over there. Go to the sunny, go to the servo, get your sunnies on, eh? What are you doing? Like it was so challenging. And I did an Australian accent for my friend, and he did an American accent for me, and we're both like, we probably shouldn't do these.
Yeah.
They're just not that good. They're not that good. Well, I'll stick to the American, you stick to the Australian, we'll be fine that way.
There you go.
But yeah, that's mine.
I have another one. Be St. Kitts and Nevis.
Oh,
So that is in the West Indies.
it is.
Actually, on a previous episode, I wore my hat from there.
Oh,
But yeah, St. Kitts and Nevis was a honeymoon destination for us, and took a lot of flights to get there. But I will tell you that again, two islands, and you can take a water taxi between the islands, and it is really cool, really laid back. Um, we went at a time when most people go there in the winter because it's obviously a warmer climate. We were there when it wasn't winter. You could be on the Atlantic Ocean side, or you could be on the Caribbean side.
hmm.
So you could be in two different oceans, which is kind of cool.
That is
Uh,
cool.
it's an old British, I think, Commonwealth country they call
Hmm.
it now,
Hmm.
and we just had a great time. Again, it
That's
was
awesome.
so much fun. Very, very relaxed. It's not one of the touristy islands like you think of with like a Jamaica or
Right.
where they get some cruise ships, but not to the level the other islands do. So
Hmm.
it's a little bit more laid back, and the cabs are just fantastic. They're like these minivans, and they all have names, and
That's awesome.
just really had a great time culturally there, and was a really great experience. I'd definitely go back.
Cool. Mine, I guess, would be probably Cancun. So I was, fortunate enough to um, win a contest that took me there. Technically, it wasn't even Cancun; it was Riviera Maya, which is like that far away. But
Okay.
it was just, it was very nice to, just to go to a country that is really like one of the closest countries to me that I had never been. Canada,
Yeah.
I've been to a million times because it's maybe a 5-hour drive to Canada.
Sure.
Mexico
Yep.
is considerably farther, obviously, but I was fortunate enough to win this trip and go to Mexico and see things like Tulum. So, we got the opportunity to either go zip lining, spelunking caves, like do all this different stuff, or go see history like Mayan history. And of course, my boring self, everybody,
Yeah, you chose the Mayan
you could
history for
swim with
sure.
dolphins or go see Mayan history. And I'm like, I'm going to choose Mayan history. Or there was one that I wanted to do, but I was like, I'm not going to subject Tiff to that. I could go sit in a box at the PGA championship when it was in
Yeah. Yeah.
Cancun. I was like, you know what? I don't want to put Tiff through that. I'm sure that would be miserable for her. It's 8 hours. There's only one bus
Yeah.
that comes at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We have to
Right.
stay all day there. Let's do something that'd be fun for both. And we went to go see, Tulum and a lot of that history. Super cool, super awesome. Just seeing that because I am half Mexican.
Yeah.
So that was also kind of a cool part too, that I got to see a little bit of history of, where my dad's side came from. So that was really awesome too.
All I could, when you said Cancun, all I could imagine was Joe Spring Break, like 2018. That's all I could
Joe.
think of.
So
You on spring break,
I
like
mean,
MTV at spring break, or you're
so
like in the big pool dancing around.
well, here's the thing. First thing, I don't really drink a ton. I just don't.
I
I'll have some
know.
wine on occasion, but here's the thing. I did have a couple of these things called Miami Vices. It's a
Yes.
half pina colada, half some other delicious alcohol that I'm not kidding. We had a few of them in the pool every day just because we would literally just sit in the pool and be like, well, I don't really need to do much else today because this is very nice. Let's just enjoy it. Could we have another Miami Vice, please? You don't want one? That's fine. I'll have another Miami Vice. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, so it was just really cool to be able to do that.
All I had this image of you doing spring break,
Yeah.
judging a wet t-shirt contest. I don't know.
That's funny.
The rest on my list, Paris.
Okay.
Love Paris. I like culturally Paris.
Okay.
I think that the French are pretty interesting people.
I agree.
They literally uh, have a political discourse on everything. They picket and petition everything, and I think it's pretty cool. But no, Paris was really exciting. It was an awesome city. I found out that they don't do crepes for breakfast.
Oh.
Yeah, I went to so where we stayed. There was a little crepe place right outside where we stayed, and I went down in the morning and I was like, "Oh, I'd like to get crepes," and the guy goes, "It's too early for crepes."
Never
It's like,
too
"Oh,
early for crepes.
okay."
We're in France
Um,
where they came from.
Right. But no, we had a great time in Paris. I really loved it there, and obviously seeing Arc de Triomphe and being on the
Yeah.
Champs Elysees, and we actually ended up seeing a Cleveland Cavaliers basketball player who was signing autographs in the
That's
Adidas
awesome.
store on the Champs Elysees, and
What are
he
the chances?
we were like, "We're from Ohio," and he's like, "Hey."
That's
Very funny. All these people standing in
hilarious.
line are like, "Well, what's going on?"
Yeah.
Right?
Just give
But
away.
yeah, we had a great time. It was a lot of fun
That's
there, and
awesome.
there's so much to see.
Mine would be similar. It's just a short hike to the south in Rome. I loved
That
Rome.
was my last one.
Rome is incredible because again, history, love history,
Yep.
world history. Grandmother was from Sicily. Now, obviously, that's not Rome, but just the whole Italian piece. It was super cool. Also, studying the language for as long as I did. That's one of the main reasons I wanted to go is because more than obviously I wanted to see everything, but I just wanted to be like, did I actually learn anything?
Sure.
Can I actually get by ordering in a market? Did I learn like school Italian or like Italian Italian? And
Right, right.
it turned out very well. Like I was able to speak with people. I was able to understand things. It was beautiful. All the different things you can see there. It was just a lot of fun.
It's amazing. I don't speak one word of Italian, and I was able to communicate with people fine too.
Everybody else in the world does speak English, but I am always the person where if I'm going to go to a country, I'm going to try to learn a few key phrases. When I went to France, obviously I studied a little bit of French. I got by, and Italian, obviously pretty good there. Other place another place that I put down. It was a tie between Toronto and Montreal for me, for
Okay.
two very different reasons. For my last one, Toronto because it's Toronto. It's
Yep.
like it's even cleaner New York. Like it's imagine New
Yeah.
York
Yeah.
without the crime, without it being a little bit dirty. It's just such a beautiful place. Everybody there is friendly. Everybody there is nice. The beautiful. You can walk around for hours and just see new and interesting things. Their Chinatown's incredible. CN
Yes.
Tower,
Yes,
their
it is.
Canada Center. It's just incredible there. And then Montreal because of the history, right? Because they're French Canadian, and it is very confusing sometimes because everywhere you go, bonjour, hello, you get both, and you
Yeah.
respond with the one you want to speak. Well, I speak up French okay, but they said bonjour, hello, and I was like bonjour, and then straight at me, and I'm like, oh, désolé, désolé. Let's revert over to the English because my French is not that strong yet. And they're like, oh, okay, sorry. But it just the architecture, just everything there, and it's. I didn't realize it was an island actually. I never knew that.
Nope.
It's so cool.
But
it was another one of those places where I could just walk around. There's cobblestone streets. There's just so much cool stuff there. It was just so nice. So those are
in true French influence fashion. They petition and picket everything, and they want to secede and become their own country.
They do.
It's truly French. The French influence is truly there.
Les Québécois, as they are affectionately known.
Yes.
So, all right.
We have traveled the world.
We have traveled the entire world. Well, part of it at least.
Yeah. But a good part.
A good part.
All right. It's the Dino and Joe Show.